Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Two demigods, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, have regained their form. This just went off. They have regained their form as demigods, not their original form. Their original form is a spiritual form in the spiritual world. So if we think that they were demigods, and by the curse of Narad Muni they became Arjun trees, and now they regain their original form, it's not a fact. They're simply in another form of this material world. So they got the mercy of Narad Muni to be cursed and get the darshan of Krishna. That was their great fortune. You may think, well, that's not very good. They had to stand for so many thousands of years as trees. And then what happened? They just got back their form as a demigod. But in the meantime, they got the darshan of Krishna. So that's a great benefit. You see so many yogis, pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayoratapi manaso muni pungavanam sopyastiyat papata simnya vinchintya tadve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yogis perform great austerities, hoping that after performing so many austerities for many years, they may. That's the point, they're not hoping, they don't even know what they're doing. Without proper guidance, a yogi, he's searching after the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is avichintya tattva, not able to understand simply by your brain power. So even though they do so many austerities, they can hardly hope to see the tip of the toe of the lotus feet of Krishna after so many years. So these twin Arjun trees, they were the demigods. Nalakuvara, Manigriva, they were undergoing some punishment. You see, austerity, it's almost like punishment. It's the same thing. It means some difficulty. People, they ask that, why is there so much suffering in this material world? Sometimes people, they voluntarily accept suffering for the sake of getting something better. That is the nature of this material world. If you want something, you have to do something. If you want to earn money, you have to work and go to a job. As Prabhupada pointed out many times, you see the people that are working in the factories, they're not doing it out of love. It's not that in their heart they feel that the boss in the factory is such a wonderful guy and I should work like an ass 50 hours a week so this guy can smoke cigars and drive around in a Mercedes car because he's such a great guy. They're doing it because they want some money. It's the only reason they're doing it. They have no love for the boss, and the boss has no love for them. But they're doing all horrible things. I remember this one devotee, the temple president. Get a new sound system. Why'd you buy it? My first temple president, he told me this story that he had told Prabhupada, previously he was working in a steel mill in Wales. So many of our early devotees in England, they came from South Wales, which is an industrial area of Britain, coal mines and steel mills. So he was telling me he was doing this job where he told Prabhupada, I was doing this job where you have to take the steel sheet and take it out and put it in the heat and then bang it and then take it out, and it's all hot and it's dark with the light comes from the fire. It's very dark and smell of smoke. And he said, Prabhupada, I found that was horrible, but everyone around me, they didn't seem to mind, but I didn't like it. Why is that, Prabhupada? He said, because you're a Brahmana in your last life. He didn't like it. But other people, they liked it. They think it's our job. It's very nice. We work, bang, 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 all day. And at night we drink a few beers and then bang, 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 have a little fight, and it's nice. So it's suffering condition. They want to get some money, so they go through some suffering. The nature of this material world is that you become accustomed to suffering. You think it's nice. You think it's something very nice. I'll do this job, bang, 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 bang. And people are thinking it's enjoyable. It's very nice. Very nice life. So suffering is there, but the yogis, they undertake suffering for the sake of spiritual advancement. That is the meaning of tapasya. Prabhupada defines. Austerity means suffering, some difficulty voluntarily undertaken for the sake of spiritual advancement. That is the meaning of tapasya. Sometimes we say someone is doing some job, that's tapasya. Actually, that's not tapasya. That's simply kashtam. It's simply difficulty. That verse is there of Rishabdev, where he speaks about difficulty on one hand in the human form of life, and how we should take tapasya on the other. The first instruction of Rishabdev to his sons. Who knows that verse? Kashtan. What's the first word? Now we have got this human form of life. Why are you living like pigs and dogs? No, completely. I'm forgetting myself. I can't remember the first word. It begins with Akka. What is that? Shravid. Kashtan kamanarhate vidbhujam ye. What's the first line? I'm also not remembering. That's the second line. Kashtan kamanarhate vidbhujam ye. Tapo divyam putraka yena sadvam shudyat brahma sokyam tvananta. Shudyat tasmat brahma... No. Yeah. So anyway, the point is that we got this human form of life, and there's so much kashtam. We're working hard. There's so many difficulties. But he's recommending instead of that difficulty, you take tapo divyam, divine austerities by which you may eventually come to the position of happiness. So the yogis, they're going through many difficulties to get spiritual advancement. And the materialists, they're also going through many difficulties, but they don't get any spiritual benefit. People are asking, why are you going through these austerities? Getting up in the morning early. And some people in the temple, they're not asking, why should we go through these austerities? They just don't get up, that's all. And then they have to face another austerity of someone coming and shouting at them. But they prefer, we will sleep as long as we can, and then someone will shout. Anyway, they're not here, because I guess those who are sleeping in the morning, they're now taking bath or something like that. At least they take bath. It's some semblance of human life. So, people are, why you follow this? You see, getting up early in the morning, following vegetarian diet. Why don't now there are so many opportunities for eating meat. Every corner there's omelette. Outside the city, everywhere there's poultry farms, so the people can eat omelette. Why are you following these austerities? Because tapo divyam putraka yena sadvam shudyat tasmat brahma sokyam tvanantam. To come to the position of eternal divine happiness. Anyway, you have to go through some difficulty. Nayang deho deha bhajang riloke. Having achieved this human form of life, don't live like Rishabdev. He's instructing his sons. Don't live like a stoolita, he's saying. He is saying, Rishabdev. Don't live like a pig, he is saying. Sometimes people criticize Prabhupada, very heavy, but that's Shastra. Prabhupada was saying that those who don't clean their rooms every day, they're simply living like pigs. They prefer to live in the dirt. The pig, he likes that. So if you like to live in a dirty room, if you think it's very nice, then Prabhupada was saying, then you're just like a pig. So that's the fact. So Rishabdev is saying, don't live like a pig. Be a human. Don't lean against the temple wall. You can sit down or stand up. Don't lean against the wall. That's an offense. For your information. It's forgivable. So, difficulty is the sons of Kuvera, they had to go through so much difficulty. But at the end, they were lucky. They got the mercy of Narad. By the mercy of Narad, they were cursed to become trees, but they became trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. They could have become trees they could have become trees in the heavenly planets. The weather would have been better, because in Vrindavan it's hot in the summer and cold in the winter. Apparently it's more like that now, because they cut all the trees. But even previously, you read in Krishna Lila, it speaks about the scorching heat of summer. So even at that time, the heavenly planets means it's very pleasant. Like Prabhupada was saying, Hawaii, the climate is like a heavenly planet. Some places on this earth, there also. Kashmir also is described. In the Shastra that's described as Bhuswarga. Kashmir is supposed to be like a heavenly planet. Maybe not now, because high danger of getting a bullet in your head if you go to Kashmir. So if there had been trees in the heavenly planets, then it would have been, at least, it's not a very nice condition, but at least they wouldn't have had the scorching heat in the summer and the cold in the winter. But they wouldn't have had the darshan of Krishna also. Because Krishna, when he comes to this world, he comes to Vrindavan. Sometimes he goes to the heavenly planets also. Vamandev, he took birth in the heavenly planets. He didn't stay there very long. Afterwards he went to stay with Bali Maharaj. He kicked Bali Maharaj out of the heavenly planets and okay, I'm kicking you out, and he went to stay with him. I'll go and stay with you. I'll share your residence in Sutala. Krishna also sometimes, he went to the heavenly planets. He went to return the earrings of Aditi, had a little fight with Indra, took the Parijata tree. But Krishna, he stays in Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityaja na padamekam gacchati. Krishna never takes one step out of Vrindavan. And especially in Vrindavan, there are so many places of Krishna's pastimes. That song is there, Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan, and is described. Keshigat, Vangshivat, Dwadash Kanan, all the different places are described of Krishna's pastimes. There are so many places. But the place one place he spends a lot of time in is his home, his father's home. So these boys, young men, they were cursed to become trees, but in that place. See, even Brahma, he was praying, Uddhav was praying, both of them were praying, that we'd like to be a blade of grass in Vrindavan. So sometime Krishna may come to that place where we are, or the gopis, actually Uddhava wanted the gopis, they will come, and then I will get the dust of their feet on my head. Just by chance if they happen to go that way. Because Rajabhumi, it's a big land, so just if you stay there, maybe some gopi will come and put her foot on you. But these two trees, they weren't in any remote corner, but they were right there in the courtyard just outside the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So they were very fortunate that they were all the time. Krishna was there. All these pastimes that are being described, when Krishna was born, there was this Nandotsav, and then actually that was elsewhere. But all these pastimes described that Krishna and Balaram, they're catching the tails of the calves when they're little boys, and the calves are running, and Krishna and Balaram are being pulled in the mud, in the dust. So the gopis are singing songs, the elderly gopis, and little Krishna and Balaram, they're dancing. So these demigods, now in the form of Arjuna trees, they saw all this. They were present for all this to happen. They're present just as where Krishna's pastimes are going on. So they became purified. They got their forms again as demigods. They're purified. Now they're not thinking that now let's immediately go back to the heavenly planets and go back in the Mandakini Ganga and again find some apsaras. Now they're praying to Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin, you are the supremely powerful person. So they got the mercy of Narad. That is their good luck. Brahmanda Brahmate Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. By good luck, you may get the mercy of a devotee, and then the seed of devotion is planted in the heart that can eventually spring up and flourish. Now, generally that good luck, that bhagya, that is described that you will get that if you perform some bhakti unmukhi punya. If you do something pious, just like you may be in the body of a dog, and some prasad is there and you take that. So you'll get a human life in the next life, and the consciousness will be somewhat purified. Any contact with Krishna means some purification is there, even if you're offensive. Prabhupada was asked about that. That what about these people chanting, these Sai Baba followers? They also chant Hare Krishna. They also like to chant Hare Krishna. But their concept of who is Krishna is extremely offensive. Very, very, very offensive. They think that Sai Baba is God. I was just reading Prabhupada, he already told what is Sai Baba's future life. That he will be a worm in stool. That's a great benediction. It's Prabhupada's mercy on him, that he's telling he'll be a worm in stool. Because actually he deserves much worse. So Prabhupada, by saying he's a worm in stool, he's actually benedicting him. That he'll only be a worm in stool. How many lifetimes, we don't know. As many hairs are on his head. A lot of hairs on his head. So, these followers, they also chant Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada was asked, so do they get any benefit? Prabhupada said, yes, but first they have to suffer the reactions of all their offenses. Then after all that they suffer, then the benefit of chanting Hare Krishna, something will be there. Although that chanting, it's not the same as the chanting of a pure devotee. One should chant in the association of devotees. Otherwise, that chanting, it's not actually chanting, because chanting Hare Krishna means to call to Krishna. Oh Radhe, oh Krishna, please engage me in your service. But they're not chanting like that. Who knows what they're thinking? It's a very unusual way of thinking. How you can think such a rogue and a rascal and such an ugly fellow is God. They have a very strange idea. So they're not praying to Krishna in love. But still some benefit is there. That is described in which Purana? Nrsimha Purana, about Haram. Some Yavan was chanting Haram as he was killed by a pig. That's the worst way for a Muslim to die, is to be killed by a pig. But, so he was saying Haram, very bad. But still the name Ram was there. So some benefit is there. He got liberation. Of course, he wasn't actually saying in an offensive manner. That is not so. That is one kind of namabhas. You're chanting the name, it's not pure chanting, but it's the shadow of pure devotion. Because you're chanting the name, you don't know why you're chanting. That's called, there are 4 kinds. That's called sanket. There are 4 kinds of offensive chanting. One is called sanket. It means to indicate something else. Just like their name may be Vishnu. So the mother is calling out Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. But they're not thinking of Bhagavan Vishnu. So that's not namabhas. That means, namabhas means, it's not pure chanting and it's not offensive. It's somewhere in between. So some benefit will be there from chanting, even in an offensive manner. But better is this bhakti abhas. If one does some contact with devotional service, even though he doesn't know, that's called agyata sukriti. You're getting some benefit. You don't know how you're getting the benefit, but some benefit is there. Just like the dog taking prasadam. So that will purify the consciousness so that one will be more inclined when he comes in contact with Krishna consciousness again, he'll be more inclined to take it up. That's why we see we're preaching in various ways in different parts of the world, distributing books, distributing prasadam, giving lectures, organizing Rath Yatras. And some people, they take it up very seriously. Other people don't. They're not interested. Some people are against. Why is that? That means that people who are more pious, they perform more pious activities in previous lives, they're more inclined to take up Krishna Bhakti. That's why we find in India there's generally quite a good response in comparison to other countries, because the residents of Bharatvarsha, this Bharat Khanda of Bharatvarsha, they're supposed to be more pious, although it may be in other parts of the world also. But generally we expect that people who have performed some pious activities in previous lives, they're born here, so they may be able to take up Krishna consciousness more easily. So when the devotee comes and says, chant Hare Krishna, then those who are more pious, they may take it up more easily. In India it's relatively easy to get people to chant Hare Krishna. We ask people, chant Hare Krishna. And generally they'll chant in most parts of India. In the other countries it's not so easy. If you go in the metro in Moscow and you make an announcement, everyone please say Hare Krishna. Well, you might escape without being beaten. Or you might they might take you away to a mental home or something like this. It's not expected. If you go in the metro in Moscow or the subway in New York and say, please everybody, now you've got the human form of life, it's very valuable, you got it after many, many lives, now you should take this opportunity, chant Hare Krishna. Please once in your life say Hare Krishna. So maybe in Russia and America somewhere, they may be one. But in India, generally, if you say like this, they'll do. I've seen on the buses in Bangladesh that someone comes in, because what happens, they have to wait for the ferry. The bus will stop for 1 hour or 2 hours while they wait for the ferry to cross the river. So in the meantime, the mullah comes in the bus and he says something like, now you have this human form of life. They say the same thing. It's like, they're like half Hindu, half Muslim. That now you've got the human form of life, and the cats and dogs, they can't pray to Allah, but you can do, so take this opportunity, now is time, so just put your head down and repeat after me, and they all do it. And then he takes a collection, we're building a new mosque, like this. So they have that much piety. That piety is there. So in India also, you ask people to chant Hare Krishna, they'll chant, there's some piety. Mostly people will do. Even you were doing that Harinam in Vallabh Vidyanagar, all the students were there drunk, but they also like to join in chanting, even though they're engaged in sinful activities. So, devotees are going and preaching, and those who have more piety, they may take it up more quickly. Now we see in the case of this Nalakuvara and Manigriva, don't appear to be very pious. They were engaged in sinful activities. Now it may be that they had some piety, that Krishna is in everyone's heart. He's Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddesha Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Maya. Krishna is seeing everyone. Says it may have been in some previous life they had some inclination towards Krishna. But then they forgot that when they became demigods. To become a demigod, you have to perform some pious activities. But what usually happens, this is how the samsara chakra goes on. Someone performs some pious activities, as a result he gets Janma Ishvarya Shruta Shri. Good birth in a high family, money, good intelligence and good bodily features. And then with that, he forgets all his piety and becomes a rascal and performs all sinful activities. And then again he gets born as a dog or a cat or a jungle vasi or something like this. He loses his pious activities. And then again, he may come to the point of performing some pious activities, and then again he spoils his opportunity, like that. So it may be that they had some touch of pious life before. They were engaged in sinful activities. But they were lucky that Narad came, that Krishna sent Narad to them. Or it may be that they had no previous pious activities. Bhakti Unmukhi Punya. They must have had at least Bhoganmukhi Punya. That means pious activities which are performed for the sake of sense enjoyment. But even the Vedic system is so nice that even this Bhoganmukhi Punya, if you perform karma kandya activities for elevation to the heavenly planets, there must be some touch of Vishnu Bhakti there. This Varnashram system is so nice. That there must be, the followers of Varnashram, even if they're completely materialistic, some touch of Vishnu Bhakti must be there. Just like they're performing yajna. So they may be performing yajna for the demigods, but the yajna bhuk, the yajnapati, the enjoyer and the master or the lord of all sacrifices is Vishnu. So knowingly or unknowingly, they must have some touch of, some connection with Vishnu. That is the great advantage of the Varnashram system. Knowingly, unknowingly, directly, indirectly, some touch of Vishnu Bhakti must be there. So, Narad Muni came. It may have been they had some dormant touch of Krishna Bhakti, or maybe very insignificant. But here's the special point, that Narad Muni is such a great Vaishnava, even if you don't have any pious activities, even if you're completely sinful, by the touch of a devotee, pure devotee, he can immediately purify and give Krishna Bhakti. That is the special prerogative of a pure devotee. That Prabhupada in his poem, he wrote about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Krishna Bhakti Dev Thai Thai, that you're simply giving Krishna consciousness in different places. Krishna Shaitoma, Krishna Tite Para, Tomara Shakati Atse. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he says, you have Krishna. You can give Krishna. This is the characteristic of a great devotee, that even people have no inclination towards Krishna, but still he awakens it. Because actually, everyone has inclination towards Krishna. That's also stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that everyone is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant. Some keho mane, keho na mane, shab taradas. Some people accept it, some people don't accept it. But actually everyone is the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is there, dormant within the heart. When one gets the Bhaktilata Bij, that means that one gets the opportunity to take up the process of Krishna consciousness and become purified. This Krishna Saitoma, Krishna Tite Para, the good, it said the pure devotee can give you Krishna. What does that mean? He gives you Krishna. It's not that generally, it's not that someone is completely sinful and then just overnight in a second they're turned to pure devotees. That may happen. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes we see that. Jagai and Madhai, they were completely sinful. But immediately, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, immediately they became pure devotees. Or the great follower of Nityananda Prabhu, Abhiram Thakur, he had one whip. It's an unusual way of spreading Krishna consciousness. He would whip, by the touch of that, people would become Krishna conscious. Great potency. But that's unusual. The normal process is that one has to take up the process of Krishna Bhakti. When it's said that a Vaishnava gives Krishna, that means gives, but you also have to be qualified to take. Someone says, show me God. Are you qualified to see? Or someone wants that I immediately want Prem Bhakti. You can have immediately, but you have to become immediately qualified. But generally people are not immediately qualified, so the process of sadhana. One is taught the process of sadhana bhakti, by which one can become qualified to see Krishna. Now these demigod boys, they were not engaged in the process of sadhana. They were cursed. You become trees. You rascals, you rogues. What are you doing? You shouldn't be frolicking around naked. Especially in the Ganga. You're supposed to go to the Ganga for purification. And they went for sinful life. Sometimes people, they come to the temple for stealing, or sometimes they come for... Story is there in the Puranas, that how they found an old temple, deserted temple, and they used for sex life. Story is there. You know that story? So you can misuse the facility. So they're in the Ganga, naked, and before Narad Muni. Now if you're going to do something sinful, at least you should do it privately. They had no shame. That a great sadhu has come in front of them, and even then they're just joking and laughing, and so very offensive. So Narad Muni said that you shouldn't be, what are you doing being demigods? Demigod means you should be well behaved. You're simply behaving like a rascal. Better you should be a tree. So that's considered, well, that's a very bad curse. Actually, that's a blessing. Because if you become a tree, at least, if you get the body of a tree, at least you stop those sinful activities. If you remain in that position, you'll perform more sinful activities. And then you'll have to become a tree for longer. You'll have to take more sinful reaction. Just like people, they say we want to open hospitals so people can become cured. But if you don't teach Krishna Bhakti, if you're not going to teach Krishna Bhakti, better just let them die. Because they'll perform more sinful activities and they'll get more reaction. When we're not saying don't have hospitals. But the point is that you should teach Krishna Bhakti. Otherwise there's nothing auspicious. There's nothing pious. People think it's a very pious activity to build a hospital. There's nothing pious about it. To make people healthy and fit so they can enjoy more sense gratification, it's of no benefit to anybody. It's detrimental to them. Unless you teach Krishna Bhakti. If you have a hospital, you cure them, and then in the meantime you're telling them, now you want to get free from sickness forever, chant Hare Krishna. That is good activity. Otherwise, simply to open a hospital, people, they go and they have to have their stomach pumped because they drunk too much, mixed it with drugs or something, and then they come out and they recover and drink again. And what is the benefit? Benefit is they can go back to the hospital again. Or one time they may just collapse. They just drink too much and die. Sometimes that happens. People drink, then collapse and that's it. They never get up again. So Narad Muni's curse is a blessing. The immediate benefit is they're not performing any more sinful activities. They immediately get their reaction. But the benefit far more over and above that is that they are trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj and they get the darshan of Krishna. That is their great benefit. Even then we see that they went back to the heavenly planets. They're praising Krishna. Mahayogi, then you are the Purusha Puranaha. They're in Vrindavan, but they're not in Vraja Bhakti Vilas. That's the name of your temple commander there in Delhi, right? Vraja Bhakti Vilas. They're not in that, they didn't get that mood. Because they're still in the mood of demigods. They're still thinking how we can enjoy. So they became purified somewhat. But they didn't pick up the mood of the devotees of Vrindavan, who simply want to serve Krishna with great love. So they're in Vrindavan, but they didn't really get that mood of Vraja Bhakti, but at least they're purified from the concept of gross sinful sense gratification. They recognize Krishna as supreme, and they'll go back to the heavenly planets. They're still in the mood of demigods. even though they're in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, just like I was saying yesterday, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, they see all the opulences of Krishna, but they don't recognize He's supreme. And others, like this Nalakuvara, Manigriva, they recognize that yes, actually He's supreme. So they're not as fortunate as the cowherd boys, as the gopis, who simply love Krishna, thinking, how wonderful is Krishna. So they didn't come to that platform. Still, they've come to some preliminary platform of devotion. That is their good fortune. Hare Krishna. Any question? Aho bhagyam nanda vrajo kasan. You know that verse that Shukadev Goswami is saying? How fortunate are the residents of Vrindavan. Nanda Maharaj and the residents of Vrindavan. Yeah, just like that Mother Yashoda had the darshan of Krishna, the Vishwarup darshan, and she understood, she was beginning to understand He's God, but then again Yoga Maya potency covered. They may know and then again forget, just like Krishna showed all the residents of Vrindavan, the spiritual world, and then they just went on with life. They didn't start worshipping Him, offering Him puja or any such thing. They just went on with Krishna as our friend, lover, son. So sometimes they had that, they saw that, but it's very difficult for them to accept. Very difficult. They can't understand. Just so many times the children would tell, how has this cart fallen down on top of Krishna? Oh, Krishna kicked it, then it fell. No, how is that possible? Then this snake, big demon, was killed by Krishna. There's children's stories. They don't take it seriously. Just the children are telling stories, that's all. They can't accept Krishna as supreme. But that's a different Maya. That's Mahamaya and Yoga Maya. That's what I say. Mostly, everyone is in Maya, either Mahamaya or Yoga Maya. So the demons who don't recognize that Krishna is supreme, they're not Vishnu Bhakta. Vishnu Bhakta Smito Daiva Asuryas Tadviparyaya. Those who have devotion to Krishna, they are called devotees. Deva, godly. And those who don't, they are the opposite. Both will deny. Mother Yashoda, she'll deny. Krishna is supreme. She can't think such a thing. No one's telling her either. But demons, they will deny out of envy. And devotees, Vrajavasis, they will deny out of bewilderment. Bewilderment on the platform is called Prem Vivarta, transformation of love. They can't accept. On the platform of pure love, they can't accept because they think, I'm just an ordinary person and Krishna is my friend. He eats with us, he sleeps with us, he dances with us, he fights with us. Sometimes he steals our food, sometimes I steal his food. When I'm eating, it's very nice, Krishna, here, you try some. My mother cooked. So God is supreme creator of all the universes. It's not conceivable to them how He can be. Very elevated platform. To be the intimate friend of Krishna. Why don't you say it more loudly, then others can hear also. Hmm. Yeah, Boma Vrindavan. Gokul Vrindavan.
So he wants to also, very easy people, they can also enter into God, and they can make some different tribes, they can whatever, they're not actually into God, they have the power.
Yeah, they don't actually entering Vrindavan means Vishaya Charya Kabe Shuddha Habe Man Tabe Hama Harabo Sri Vrindavan. Real entrance to Vrindavan begins when we become free from material desires and give up all, our mind becomes purified. Then there's actual entrance to Vrindavan.
The question is that there are two questions about this. The first one, how it is that those persons, they're dying in Vrindavan. Should we consider that this statement that whoever dies in Vrindavan is going back?
Yeah, it goes back to Godhead. If he's made offenses, if he's lived a sinful life, he may have to take one birth in animal species. Well, yeah, but it's like it's both ways. Just like Jai and Vijay, did they fall from the spiritual world, or they're actually at the outside of the spiritual world? They're in and they're out. So that's Krishna's mercy, even though they're only superficially in Vrindavan. If you say that someone is superficially, just like if you say someone is superficially a devotee, it means they're a devotee but they're not a devotee. It means they have all the external trappings of being a devotee. They have tilak, they have mala. So you can say they're a devotee, but you can say they're not a real devotee, but still they're a devotee. They're an artificial devotee. So they are and they aren't. So if you're superficially in Vrindavan, you're in and you're not. But the fact that you're in, that's the great mercy of the Dham. So Krishna has given that mercy to deliver such people. That you may have to take one birth as a turtle, a monkey, something like this, hog, dog, and then you can get delivered. But you may not get the mercy to die in Vrindavan, or you can spend your whole life. There are so many cases that someone retires, they go to live in Vrindavan, and they think I'll die in Vrindavan, and then they get very sick and they just have to pass away, and their relatives come and take them away to Delhi in the hospital and they die there. So you can also some mercy is required to be able to superficially live in Vrindavan and to superficially die there. It's a great mercy, just like we chant the holy name. Are we really chanting the holy name? Real chanting means that, what are you chanting every morning? That tears will come from the eyes, my voice will choke. We're not chanting. Still, if we go on chanting, the benefit will be there, even though we're not fully in love, or even, we're not there, we're not in pure Krishna consciousness, but some benefit is there. And living in Vrindavan, even superficially, by the effect of being there, at least some kind of devotion will be there. Even superficially, people are saying, Jai Radhe, Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur Radhe Sham, whatever they're saying. Some contact is there. So Krishna is all purifying. Just like Putana, you're giving the example yourself, demon. She didn't deserve to go back to Godhead. But she did. It's Krishna's mercy, because somehow or other she came in contact with Krishna. That's a great mercy. Prabhupada said about this Gajendra, that this crocodile was holding the feet in fighting with Gajendra. So, the crocodile, he got killed by Vishnu. So he got the darshan of Vishnu. He's very fortunate. So somehow Prabhupada explained why. Somehow or other he was in contact with the feet of the Vaishnava. So it's very auspicious. Because Gajendra was a great devotee. So one way or the other. So we don't recommend going around biting the Vaishnava's feet. It's not the proper process. But even the wrong way, even if you do it the wrong way. So I was saying in the class, there's Sai Baba followers, they're chanting Hare Krishna. Actually, it's not real chanting. It's not actual chanting. But somehow or other, the sound of the name is there. not actual. That asadu sange bhai, Krishna naam nahi hoy, bahire naam akar bhate tabu naam nahi hoy. That Jagadananda Pandit has given the verdict that the naam aksharam is there. The sound, ha, re, these are sounds of the Sanskrit alphabet. Ha, re, krish. Ha, that also comes with so many other. Krish comes with krishi or akrishta. These are words that can be used in a completely mundane sense also. You'll find there's in Sanskrit there are so many dramas describing Shakuntala, and so that word may come there, akrishta, describing some mundane love affair. The boy is attracted to the girl. There's nothing spiritual. The sound itself, krish, not just the alphabets, the akshara in itself. But Krishna, when those two are put in that form, Krishna, that indicates the absolute truth. But if someone is in materialistic consciousness, he doesn't actually come in contact with the absolute truth by chanting the name of Krishna. For him it's only a sound, because unless chanting is accompanied by hearing and service, then he won't have the concept. Why is he chanting? What is he doing? Still benefit is there. You see, many of these things you can't understand simply by logic or mundane intelligence, because you're saying, what is Krishna's mercy? Krishna's mercy transcends all mundane logic. Yes, this is the way to the absolute. Everyone in India is a guru. So some people are saying this, some people are saying that. You take what is in Shastra. You don't know Sanskrit? Doesn't matter. I don't know Sanskrit either. Chant Hare Krishna. Why you can